Okay, we are good, Ted.
Hel-
Everything is set.
Hello, everyone. This is Jackie Cabrera. I am here, but I connected on my computer and I'm having an issue with the video, but I am trying to fix it. I may transfer it to my phone for a little bit.
We got you. Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, ready to go?
Sorry, I was muted. Go ahead. Everything is
Right.
on.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a regularly scheduled meeting of the Zoning Commission of the City of Danbury, January 9th, 2024 at 7:30 p.m. Let the record show. We will begin with a roll call at 7:34. Commissioner Bennett.
Here.
Commissioner Botello.
Here.
Commissioner Cabrera. Commissioner
She's muted.
Here, Here.
Perfect. Great. Commissioner James.
here.
Commissioner Jowdy. He's unmuting. He's here. Commissioner Nazario.
I'm here. Sorry about that. I was muted.
It's okay. Commissioner Nejame. It's also here. It's unmuting. Commissioner O'Neill.
Here.
Commissioner Harrison. I do not see or hear. Absent. Commissioner Simone.
Present.
Is here. Commissioner Villacrez.
Present.
And I am Chairman Haddad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 9 regular members and 2 alternates and 1 absentee. Yes, perfect. Thank you. The next regular meeting is scheduled for January 23rd, 2024. If everyone would stand, if you have flags, wave them. You're free to, and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
and
justice
justice for all.
Thank you. Commission members should have received the December 12th minutes. There was a link for it and everyone did get it in their inboxes. Is there any comments? Can I get a motion to accept the minutes of December 12th, 2023? Motion made by Commissioner Botello. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jowdy. Any discussion? Deletions, modifications, alterations, mistakes, not hearing any. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed. I'm going to read now the instructions as required for the Zoom meeting. This meeting of the Danbury Zoning Commission is being held on Zoom as a virtual meeting. Even though this meeting is a virtual meeting, members of the public and interested parties continue to have the opportunity to participate in the meeting in a couple of different ways. You can participate via Zoom and see the audio and video, or you can call in by phone and participate via audio only. Please be aware that we may have to mute your microphone or telephone to avoid an echo or some other background noise. This is also being streamed live via YouTube. Instructions on how to participate in the meeting appear on the City of Danbury website, and all of the documents and materials that apply to the matters to be discussed during this meeting, including the agenda, are also available on the City of Danbury website. As always, if you have any questions, please contact the City of Danbury Planning and Zoning Department. As a reminder, the entire meeting will be posted on and can be seen on the City of Danbury website. We will follow the posted agenda as per standard practice. If prior to the meeting, any questions or comments on agenda items were submitted via email to Sharon Calitro, those comments will be read during the appropriate portion of the meeting. Finally, please remember that technology glitches sometimes do occur. Please be patient if that happens. While I'm on the instruction portion, let me also just take this opportunity to explain our procedure on public hearings for the petitioner this evening, also just to refresh the memory of some of the new commission members. I'm going to call in a public hearing. I'll read some documents to go along with it. I will then call for those wishing to speak in favor of the petition. It's generally the owner of the property or contract purchaser's representative or attorney. They will speak. We will then ask any of the commission members If they have any questions of that person, then they can ask it, and that won't be the only time they can ask it. There'll be other opportunities. And then if there's anyone else that wants to speak in favor, as represented by the petitioner, we'll then also ask for those wishing to speak in favor by the public. We'll then ask, and we have an opportunity to question the public as well. We'll then ask for those wishing to speak in opposition. We'll go back to the petitioner for any final rebuttal comments. We'll go to the staff to see if they have anything in closing, and then we'll take it from there. We have three options generally: to close the public hearing, or to continue the public hearing for a specific reason. For example, waiting for a document, waiting for something that maybe we've requested during this public hearing, or just outright close the public hearing. Okay. The legal notice for this evening. Notice is hereby given that the zoning commission of the city of Danbury will hold a public hearing commencing at 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday, January 9th, 2024, in a web-based meeting hosted on Zoom to consider the following matter. Petition of Escapology, tenant, Best Buddies LLC, property owner, 348 Main Street, H13296, for a special permit for a cafe liquor in the CBD zone. Copy of this application is on file in the Planning and Zoning Office for public inspection. Parties and interests and citizens shall have an opportunity to be heard at this time. Agenda to be posted will include instructions on how to access the Zoom meeting and application materials and view the meeting in real time on YouTube. Theodore J. Haddad, Jr., Chairman, posted on the city website and town clerk's office on December 28, 2023. Published in the News Times on December 29th, 2023, and January 5th, 2024. Purchase order 2024-8. This agenda was filed in the town clerk's office on January 4th, 2024 at 4:07 p.m. Zoning Commission alternates. You can participate in this, even though you're not seating for a regular member right now, because you may on the next meeting if someone doesn't show up as a regular member. So you could participate on this, asking questions if need be. Number one, petition of Escapology tenant, Best Buddies LLC, property owner, 348 Main Street, H13296, for a special permit for cafe liquor in the CBD zone. This goes over here. This goes over here. I am going to read a into the record, which you have a copy of, and it is public records. A July 6, 2023 letter from Allie Smith, the associate planner, in regards to this petition. Application for a waiver to site plan requirement, code W23-19, see also W22-05, 348 Main Street. Change in use, indoor amusement enterprise to indoor amusement enterprise and cafe with the sale of alcoholic beverages. Dear Mr. Lindsay, I have reviewed the referenced application to permit an approximately 12,857 square foot indoor amusement enterprise and cafe with the sale of alcoholic beverages in an existing building located at 348 Main Street. The property owner is Best Buddies LLC. The tenant space is currently occupied by an indoor entertainment enterprise, Escapology. The proposed cafe use maintains the existing number of participants as the current indoor amusement enterprise. Pursuant to Section 5F2A1 and Section 5F2C3 of the zoning regulations, an indoor amusement enterprise is a permitted use, and a cafe with the sale of alcoholic beverages requires a special permit in the CBD zoning district. The subject property is located within the downtown revitalization overlay zone. The proposed indoor amusement enterprise and cafe with the sale of alcoholic beverages requires the same number of parking spaces as the existing indoor amusement enterprise. In parentheses, that's defined as 8 spaces, 26 people for 6 escape rooms and 2 employees. As such, the department has determined adequate parking is available for the proposed use. The previous approval for the indoor amusement enterprise identified 11 parking spaces are available on site. Your application for a waiver to site plan requirements for said 12,857 square feet indoor amusement enterprise and cafe with the sale of alcoholic beverages located at 348 Main Street, Tax Assessor's Lot H13296, is approved, subject to the following administrative requirements. Number one, approval is granted strictly for the proposed change in use and any additional changes to the site layout will require a revised site plan application. The following actions shall be taken prior to the issuance of a zoning permit. Number 2, in accordance with section 3F2 of the zoning regulations, the applicant shall obtain a special permit from the zoning commission for a cafe with the sale of alcoholic beverages. Number 3, the zoning enforcement officer, ZEO, shall verify that a special permit was granted by the zoning commission for the restaurant use. This approval does not waive any other departmental approvals, requirements, or permits that may be necessary to complete this project, including that required for site signage. The permit center should be contacted with regard to the process regarding the process of obtaining a zoning permit. Please contact the Department of Planning and Zoning if you have any questions. Respectfully, Allie Smith, Associate Planner. This was copied to Jennifer Eminger, Joanne Reed, Sean Harity, Tim Rosati, John Paul Oracle, property owner of 9 Trefoil Drive, Trumbull, Connecticut. Commission members, on most petitions, there's generally a staff report. There's generally a referral from planning, a referral from WestCog, and other reports to go with this. On this type of petition, it's not necessary, but I am going to call the planning director, Ms. Calitro, to see if she has any comments on this that may answer some of our questions before we begin, and then we're going to have her talk again at the end. And there is a clarification I think she'll talk about in a second on page 1 of this, which describes this referenced property of 12,857 square feet. That includes additional space. The parcel itself under roof on this petition is 6,000 square feet as per the field card. Ms. Calitro.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, Sharon Calitro, the planning director. So yeah, I just wanted to give you all a little background on what's required in terms of this permit process. This is a special permit for a cafe with the sale of alcoholic beverages. I'm just going to read to you and into the record what the definition is for a cafe. It comes out of their zoning regulations, and I think this will help formulate some questions for you if you have for the applicant, or answer some questions that you may have in your head. So a cafe is defined as an establishment where food and beverage are served for sale at retail for consumption in a ready-to-consume state on the premises, but which does not necessarily serve hot meals or have a kitchen or dining room. Cafes may include entertainment activities as herein defined for cafes located in the CG20, CA80, and CBD zoning district. So that is the definition for a cafe. I'm not going to read the definition for an indoor amusement enterprise. That was, again, that's a defined use in our zoning regulations. The uses in this zone can be layered. So you can have an indoor amusement enterprise and a cafe. If you want the cafe to serve alcoholic beverages, then you need to the applicant needs to request from the zoning commission a special permit for the sale of the alcoholic beverages. And so that's why they're here. So that reference in this special permit uses is in 3F2. And I know Joanne put that in her email to all of you. Hopefully you've taken a look at it. So there are some general criteria for the approval of a special permit for the sale of alcoholic beverages. In addition to the special exception requirements in 10C4, there are 2 other requirements that are listed in the zoning regulations relative to cafes. One, that the zoning commission has to find that the proximity of the premises or buildings will not have a detrimental effect on any adjacent school, church, or other place of worship, and also that the location of the premises or buildings will not have a detrimental effect upon the immediate area, with due consideration given to A, the compatibility and impact of the use on the surrounding area, including adjacent residential neighborhoods, and B, the impact of the use upon traffic congestion and safety. And so there are some, in terms of the cafes, there are some requirements for the petition to contain, and we can talk through them, and I'm sure the applicant will describe what he has submitted in terms of their petition. You have to include a floor plan. You have to include the approval from the planning department, whether it's a waiver or a site plan, and Chairman Haddad read that into the record, so that is on file. And then the floor plan, complete floor plan showing all the dining areas, the bar areas, the seats, that I believe was included with your application. So I just wanted to just kind of go over the realm of what your approval authority is. The applicant would still need to obtain a permit from Liquor Control, the Consumer Department of Consumer Protection, for the sale of alcoholic beverages if you were to approve this. And then just to clarify, as the chairman indicated, the site size was the 12,857 square feet. That's about 0.29 acres. And that's what the entire site, the size of the entire site. The building which sits on the site is about 6,000 square feet. So that's where these uses would be located, obviously, and the rest of the lot is used for parking and, the setbacks. So the actual building and indoor amusement and cafe isn't 12,000 square feet. It's inside the building, and the existing building is about 6,000 square feet. So with that, if anybody has any questions, I'll answer them. Otherwise, I'll turn it back to the chairman.
Thank you. Commission members, do you have any questions at this time of Ms. Calitro?
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure, Mr. Bennett.
What's in the property now? Where's the location of this on Main Street?
We'll have the petitioner address that. He'll talk about the address and the property, but in general, it's diagonal from the old News Times building. As you cross the train tracks going from north to south, it's on the right-hand side before the old Connecticut Bank and Trust building, and the News Times would be on the left. But they'll describe that more when they get into the petition.
Yeah, and I believe, Mr. Chairman, Joanne sent out with the petition an excerpt from our GIS map, which shows the location at 348 Main. It's like 3 properties south of the corner of Rose Street and Main Street. So if you think about, there's the uniform shop, there's a building, and then there's another building where I think Midas might be, or it's a brake shop. This would be the other side of it. You'll have the opportunity to describe it in more detail. I'm just trying to give an idea and an answer to the commissioner based on what's the secretary had submitted to all of you. So the property is at 348 Main.
I have a question for
Commissioner Botello.
Yes, Ms. Calitro, a quick question. When you say 6,000 square feet, or because the Midas building is attached, it's contiguous to the rest of the building, is that the 6,000 square feet is just for the applicant's part of the building?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And so basically, when you're looking at the whole scenario, when you figure out parking calculations, is that taking advantage of what's going on next door with Midas and what their needs are?
No, this is an individual site, and it meets its own parking requirements on its own site.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Got it. Yep. Anything else, commission members, at this time on Ms. Calitro? Commissioner Jowdy.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'll save, that was very helpful with what was said, but I'll save my questions until after the applicant speaks.
Okay. Anything else, commission members? So I will now go to those wishing to speak in favor of this petition, and I guess that's Mr. Cleveland. Those wishing to speak in favor of this petition?
Yes, Mr. Cleveland here. Sorry.
Yes,
I think we clicked the unmute button at the same time.
That's okay. Why don't you identify yourself, name and address, and start your presentation, and take your time, and whatever you need, let us know. Go ahead.
If I could ask to be able to share the screen.
Yes. Is that Ms. Calitro or a Ms. Reed thing?
Joanne
Okay.
will do it. Yep.
We got Ms. Reed working on that right now, Mr. Cleveland.
Sure. And while that's happening, by introduction, Brian Cleveland with Brian Cleveland Architects. Our office is at 631 Main Street in Monroe, Connecticut. We will be co-hosting with Manny Greenspan, who is one of the owners of the property and the franchise of Escapology.
You're all set. You can share.
Thank you.
Mr. Cleveland, you said that Mr. Greenspan is the franchise owner of this spot?
Specifically, owner, I think so, but it's owned by Best Buddies LLC.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead. Help yourself.
So as was discussed, the property is located at 348 Main Street in Danbury. And want to give you kind of a brief overview of what Escapology is to understand what the indoor amusement function is for the space and how that relates to the cafe and alcohol sales that we're looking at adding to the use of the space. And certainly Mr. Greenspan can jump in if I kind of butcher anything relative to his business here, but Escapology is an escape room type function where participants have about 60 minutes in order to solve a series of puzzles, to get access to different clues and work their way through a series of rooms that they are, quote, locked in, trying to get out and finish any one of these different very highly themed missions that they have. 4 of the missions that they have in one of their facilities are shown here on screen. So typically the participants will reserve the rooms that they want to play in online. So they can either call or they could go online to make a reservation. Typically each room accommodates between 2 and 8 players. So at any one time, the players are either in the room or typically leaving the facility. The way that the players are scheduled in order to come to the location is that they are staggered. Each one of the escape rooms typically has about a 10-minute to 15-minute stagger between the start times for each one of the groups who are going to be participating. So there's not typically a rush for all of the game rooms to start all at the same time. Game room 1 will start at 8 o'clock. Game room 2 will start at 8:10, so on and so forth. So there is a disbursement of people coming to and leaving from this facility throughout the day when they are going to be renting these rooms for the experience. They typically have about 60 minutes in order to solve the puzzles. And typically after that, participants leave the facility. They also do have, as part of the franchise, party rooms that can be done for either corporate events, team building events, birthday parties. So it's a wide range of ages that are able to participate in these types of rooms. And each one of the rooms actually could be, there are certain rooms that are better for children, certain rooms that are better for more skilled individuals. So to get through and describe a little bit the lot here, it was already clarified that the building itself is 5,547 square feet. The total lot area is the 12,857 square feet. This site plan was part of the original application that was submitted back in March of 22, labeled W22-05 for the indoor amusement function that was approved during that time, and it is an allowed use on the site. As part of that approval, it was deemed that 8 parking spaces were required for the number of participants that would be coming to the location and the 2 staff that would be required for managing and resetting those games throughout the day. So a total of 8 parking spaces were required. 11 parking spaces are actually available on the property. This property does have a rite of passage along the south here, which I believe is part of the church property, which is just to the south of our property here. There are other connections to the Midas through the back end of the property. So there's a rite of passage there to get to the Midas or Meineke shop. And then there's also another property at the end here, which again has a rite of passage in order to get to those areas. So 11 parking spaces are actually available on this site. Again, as part of the original application, this was the plan that was submitted with it. And to just walk you through the layout, to the right here is Main Street, with the main entrance and all the parking out here to the left, and the church is to the bottom of the page, and the attached Meineke location is here to the top. Participants and staff would enter through the front door, the existing front door that's here. There's a large waiting area to accommodate seating for the participants for each one of the game rooms. What they would do is they would come in through the front door, check in with the staff, and then sit and wait for their room to become available for their group. Typically, you will not start your game until all participants are here, because elsewise they're coming in the middle of the game and they'll miss out on the experience. So often within a couple of minutes of the scheduled start time, they usher each one of the participants down the corridor here into one of the, I believe, 7 rooms that we have within this location. They are one on the bottom, 2, 3, 4, 5 across the top, and then 6, this L-shaped one here. And then the 7th one is the large room in the middle. It also is an escape room, but it doubles as a party room. And then we have a second party room on the south side of the plan here. We had in this original plan also this L-shaped back, quote, bar service area. So again, this was part of the initial permit that was pulled for the building permit when the project got under construction. So that was to service one of the countertop areas here for some sort of bar service, food service. So that was always an intention of this facility and was incorporated into the design when making the initial permit for it. The addition of the alcohol is something that obviously we needed to come back. We are not open yet. The facility is not open yet. So we're trying to work through all of the requirements relative to getting the liquor license approved, first through you and then through the state, so that we can actually use the spaces that we had planned into this original layout for those uses. The last room that is up in this corner here is actually the control room. This is where people are able to have surveillance of each one of the rooms in the lobby space, to give hints for people that need a little extra help inside of the games, so that they're not totally in the dark and not able to have a fun experience while trying to solve the puzzles here. So we currently here are tonight with our W23-19 waiver for change of use for the indoor amusement with the sale of alcohol and cafe use here. Again, it's 5,540 square feet. And we're going to be maintaining the same number of parking spaces as it was in the original approval. Again, it required 8 spaces where 11 are actually being provided here. And note that we do have a deeded right to the church's property for an additional 10 parking spaces if needed. If for whatever reason we run out of parking within our own facility, we are able to use the adjacent church's parking area during our normal business hours, up to 10 parking spaces there. There have only been slight changes to the overall site plan. One primary change was actually we flip-flopped the check-in desk and the bar area from the original. So to more cleanly define the check-in straight in to the facility. And then the bar area is now more segregated into the top right corner of the facility. This will allow us better segregation of anybody who may be underage or of age, to make sure that they don't come over into this location accidentally when they're trying to check in or coming to any of these seating areas in order to wait for their game room experience. So we are defining this top right-hand corner, basically the bar service area. But it doesn't mean that people could not take their drinks, possibly sit in some of the other locations or in either of the party rooms. There is no food or drink allowed in any of the game rooms. But certainly if they are in the party rooms, they are being observed by staff and making sure that any there's nothing nefarious going on because of any of the drinking that might be happening. To go through the equipment list that we have, so it's a very, very light kind of just, I'm not even going to say warming kitchen, because really it's just a place for us to be able to store prepackaged foods and to be able to securely store any of the alcohol that we have in the facility. Starting at the back left of the kitchen space, we do have a small prep wash sink, mop sink, and some shelving. We have a hand wash sink within that room. And then moving to the right across the top wall of that kitchen space, we have 2 work tables, 2 refrigerators that will have locks on them. We have 2 storage lockers that are specifically meant for the storage of liquor. And then to the south, we have some more shelving here. In addition to all of the equipment in the back, we also do have an under-counter refrigerator, beverage cooler that also will have a lock on it. So obviously making sure that we're meeting the liquor requirements of having any alcohol stored securely within the facility and not being able to be accessed outside of what would be allowed otherwise. To get to the question about the location of the facility, to the left, we have a satellite view. Main Street is kind of running here on a diagonal with our property right in the center. And to highlight, this little blue blob here is actually our property. So we are right smack dab in the middle of the CCBD zone. We do not abut any other residential or other zones within this area. With that said, we do understand that we have the apartments that are off of Kennedy Avenue, but that set of apartments is actually across this river and highly wooded space between our 2 properties. So there really is no direct connection between our property and those apartments that are across the way on Kennedy Avenue. We are also outside of the historic zone of downtown, the overlay zone there in downtown, which is just a little further to the south of us. But we are in the overlay zone for the incentivized revitalization zone. I'm sorry, downtown revitalization zone. To further discuss kind of what is in the vicinity, Escapology is identified as this blue box here in the middle of the screen. And we have tried to identify as best as we can all of the different pertinent locations relative to our meeting the regulations of 3F, showing the locations of churches, schools, and to get an understanding of where other bars or restaurants are located within this general area. Noting that the majority of all the restaurants or bars that would serve alcohol are further to the south on Main Street, and that there are very few restaurants within our area, if any, that would be serving alcohol. We do know, obviously, that there are quite a number of churches within this area, certainly our next door neighbor being one of them, and then there's another one across the street. The last one is the schools. The closest one happens to be this one right here, which actually is an adult education building. So I don't know if it necessarily qualifies as a school, but wanted to make sure that we're identifying all of those educational locations as best as we can. So certainly the proposed use will not have loud music. We will not have flashing lights. We won't be kind of projecting anything really onto the street, because the primary use that we have here is the escape rooms. And we want to try to supplement the services of people that come to the escape room with the ability to have a drink. You know, maybe it's after work and they scheduled the time to come here with their friends and do an escape room, but they showed up 30 minutes early. So maybe they want to grab something to drink or something to eat when they're here. So that's the type of opportunity that we're trying to introduce with having the liquor sales and cafe component added to this location. We are not looking at trying to draw in people as a bar. We're certainly not looking to draw people in as if this is a restaurant. It's really just to supplement the people that would be coming to this location already for the escape room experience. So here you can see our proposed timeframes for throughout the week, primarily ending by 10 o'clock or midnight, midnight on the weekend days, and not trying to overlap at all with when somebody may be coming to the church next door, trying to make sure that we open up late enough where we're not going to be coinciding with anybody coming to the church. We will also have the ability to bring in more substantial food items for catering from a variety of other downtown restaurants in the area. But as part of being able to qualify for the cafe, we will have this list of items available for people to purchase right at the facility right away, so they don't have to wait for anything to be Ubered over or waited for it to be catered. So because of the staggered nature of the participants coming to this location, we don't feel that there's going to be any negative impact to the traffic, which based on what we have already been allowed to open here, the indoor amusement or the escape room use. So again, we're not trying to increase the number of people that are coming to this location beyond what would normally be coming here for the indoor entertainment use already. And it is a defined set of duration for each one of those experiences. So there will be a staggered entrance and a staggered exit, not causing traffic congestion at the driveway that we currently have onto Main Street. There are really no residential neighborhoods adjacent to us, so we do not feel that we're going to have a negative impact on the residential neighborhoods. And we feel that our business will be able to support other downtown businesses by bringing more families into the downtown area, extending the downtown a little bit further to the north, maybe making that walkability from the more developed downtown area where there currently are restaurants up to our property. Support the local restaurants by offering catering opportunities for some of them, and cross promotion of events, again, to try to promote the downtown environment and bring people into Danbury. So I'm going to hand this over to Manny to kind of talk about some of the management and training options and some of the other safety and security issues that we have.
Well, thank you, Brian. I don't think I could have done it better myself. Fantastic job. Thank you. You did most of the explaining. My name is Manny Greenspan. I'm the project manager. The actual owner of the facility and the owner of the building is Howard Greenspan. He's my brother. He will be the permittee. He owns Escapology. He's a franchisee. We're located at 9 Trefoil Drive in Trumbull, where the first Escapology in Connecticut is currently located. They've been operating there for probably about 3 or 4 years. They are the exclusive franchisees for the entire state of Connecticut. So Danbury is our next location. We have other ones planned for New London and hopefully Orange. We'll keep our fingers crossed. I think everyone knows where it is, next to the Midas Muffler Shop at 348 Main Street. I have a picture of it if anyone needs to see it. Hold on, let me share this for you. Are you familiar at all with this building or no? This is the building. This is what it looked like before. We started painting it and redoing it, and this is it now. So, talking about our management and training, we will definitely go and abide by all the state regulations. We have some training programs that have been, I believe, approved by the state of Connecticut. I have to double check with the state liquor commissioner to teach people the way to safely handle liquor, to how they're going to go and be trained to lock it up, how they're trained to receive the alcohol and things. As far as security, no one under 21 is going to be in the premises. Let me show you the bar area. I don't know, Brian, could you share your screen to show so I can show where the bar area will be stanchioned off? They'll basically be from that check-in counter to the wall, a stanchion or a wire that will basically kind of section that off if there's anyone in the area who's over 21 drinking. It's not made to be a bar. It's not really, nobody's going to come in and get alcohol or a drink. It's basically so people can enjoy their experience after they finish the room and they're all happy, or they or before they start if they get there a little bit early. I think that's pretty much it from my part. If you have any more questions, Brian, unless you have something to add, I'll open the floor up for questions and hopefully I can answer everything you want.
Okay. Why don't you, if you could exit the screen share.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
How do I do that? Oh, sorry. Sorry about that.
That's okay. No problem at all. Okay. So commission members, let me ask, first of all, by the way, Mr. Cleveland, that was a very good presentation. You touched on a lot of information, just like you're a regular here in Danbury. You kind of, in my mind, answered a lot of questions that we were going to ask, but of course I still have some others. So I guess my question is, what percentage of your business do you think is going to be liquor? I mean, how critical is that for you? It seems to me like it's a convenience, but it's not a make or break for your facility.
I'll speak to that one.
Sure.
It's not a make or break for the facility. It is a convenience and a benefit for the patrons. If it's 15% of our sales, that would be a lot. We have a bring your own beers. People basically bring their own to the Trumbull location, and this one I just think it's better to be able to kind of control a little bit more consumption. And if people are on the premises and we're serving it, we have another set of eyes on the people. So if they can have a beer there, they might not go and drink beer in their car. They might not do things inappropriate. They'll go in a controlled environment. We can see them. We see them on camera. There's probably 10 cameras throughout the building, inside, outside. We can monitor I don't want to be a babysitter, but we can monitor their consumption and their good time a little bit better. So it just reduces the risk, I think, for us and also any of the safety of the people who might come. But to answer your question, we don't think it's going to be a huge portion of our sales. It's going to be mostly for the residents who come in, or the patrons who come into the escape rooms.
So it's obvious that this whole facility is, let's call it appointment only. Somebody makes a reservation, 5 or 6 people, 2 people, 3 people make a reservation for a room at such and such a time. So let's say that there's 4 people coming in at 7 o'clock and 6 people coming in at 20 minutes after 7. So the whole facility is based on reservations and appointment. So does that mean if somebody's walking down the sidewalk on Main Street and they know that you guys have a bar, that they're going to walk in and say, hey, how you doing? I'd like a beer. Or are you going to lock that door, and are you going to only allow people that have reservations to enter the facility?
No, we're not going to lock the door. But this is actually a question I was talking about Brian about. We don't want someone coming in off the street and saying, hey, let me have a beer. It's not that kind of place at all. And I don't know. And I believe, and this I've got to find out, you can refuse service to anybody. And I don't want to say you get out if you don't have a room. So a guy, I don't know the best way to handle that. I'm going to look to advice from a liquor commissioner when I talk to him. We have no interest at all in having a bar and having people come in to sit down and have a drink. It's not made for that. One of the things we may do when it's saying appointment only, there might be 4 or 5 or 7 people to a room. We also have a corporate event. So if a corporation rents the whole place out, or they might have 20 people coming or 30 people coming to their event, the corporation is going to take the whole place the whole night, and then we will wheel a bar cart service into into maybe Mona or something like that. But it's not, I can't say it's not open to the public, but it's not for someone who's not doing an escape game.
So somebody that wants, somebody that has a group of 6 and they have couple minutes before it starts, they're gonna go up and they're gonna say, let me have 3 glasses of wine and 3 beers. They're gonna walk up to your counter and they're gonna get it. You don't have any wait staff that's going to be taking orders or going to the
No,
room.
no, no,
anything
no.
like
They're
that.
gonna
So-
walk up to the counter. They're gonna offer a beer. Our intention is just to have it extra clean. Is everything's gonna be sealed. We hand them a bottle. We hand them one of those sealed Copa glasses. We're not really planning on doing a lot of pouring, mixing, that kind of stuff. It's more
Well,
mostly
you will with
prepackaged.
mixed drinks though. With mixed
Correct.
drinks,
There's alcohol.
yeah. Mixed drinks, you'll be mixing it up. Okay. And then also during Mr. Cleveland's presentation, he spoke of the outside waiting areas. When somebody waits, they go into the room. When they're done, they're going to be able to walk out of that experience and maybe sit down and have a couple drinks. So actually, the last people of the night, it said that your facility, the mysteries will be over an hour before you close. So everybody will be exiting their rooms an hour before you close your doors. There's a potential for those people to all gather in the waiting area and just drink for the next hour.
A potential, but unlikely. I mean, they usually go finish their game in the middle of that room. When you saw where that front door was to the left,
Yeah.
to the north of that front door, for about 6 feet is a big wall where it says Escapology. They stand in front with all these little funny props saying, "Yay, I did it! I'm really smart." And they might have a beer, clink together, and leave. That's usually when I've done to corporate events and I've seen in Trumbull. They come, they may have a few drinks beforehand, have some food, and then they go into the rooms. And once they're out, they kind of leave. It's usually a before thing than an after thing. They
You
don't
said
usually stay that late.
your Trumbull, you allow bring your own?
Bring your own to Trumbull, yes.
Okay. Commission members, any questions? Commissioner Jowdy?
Yeah, I have a couple questions for
Sure,
either
please go.
Manny or Brian. Have you established a capacity for the building?
Brian has. Brian,
Right. So, based on an assumed number of 8 maximum people for each one of the game rooms, and the seating that we have in the front area, which does total 44 people, for the front lobby space, it's somewhere in the range of 90 people that could, at 100%, absolute 100% capacity, be within the establishment. But each of the game rooms is not scheduled to be fully occupied all at the same time. There's a staggering, and it's all based on people making the reservations to be there. So even though we have 7 game rooms, it's more likely that really only 3 may be in operation at any one time. And then a group or 2 waiting in the lobby space.
Okay. Have you checked with the fire marshal? They're the ones that would okay the capacity?
Yeah, so the occupant load based on the building code requirements is 208 occupants. And that's based on the occupant loads that we need to get from the building code. All of those occupancies and all of the exit capacities within the plans that we've shown you have actually been approved by the building official and fire marshal already, because we are under construction for the property.
Okay, good.
Now,
And,
I want to add to Rick, just so there's no miscommunication. The times there may be more than 2 or 3 rooms would be a corporate event. Sometimes that corporation will say 30, 40, or 50 people will come to the site and they'll basically book the whole premise. It doesn't happen that frequently. Hopefully it happens more, but they may book the entire premises, occupy 80%, 90% of the rooms, even though they still are staggered. But is that possibility of corporate events as well.
Well, it seems like you're well under what the fire marshal's saying anyway. So that's good.
If we have 208 people, I'd be shocked. Never.
Brian, you had mentioned that once you go in that bar area, no one could go in that area that's underage, but they could take their alcohol out. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
I don't know if that's something. Did you check with the liquor commission on that?
I mean, it's analogous to, say, a bowling alley. where you would go to the bar area, pick up a pitcher or a glass of beer or whatever it is, and bring it back to your lane within the bowling alley. There may be people within that bowling alley that have underage children, but you're still allowed to bring that out into the rest of the area.
Okay, I would be concerned about that, but that's something that you should check.
From what I
Go ahead.
spoke to the liquor commissioner in the state, he said it needs to be a separately stanchioned off area, like in the movie theater. You know, they have that separate area in a movie theater where they serve liquor. We don't intend to have people running around all over the site going into the room because they'll just ruin the games with drinks. So usually when it becomes, we'll have it stanchioned off. So if there's some kids sitting there on the other side of the lobby, on the south side, they may be sitting there. We're going to have video. They have little video games in there. So really, I don't think it'll be a distraction. But mostly for 5, 6, 10, 15 people, I'm going to keep them in that stanchioned area. If we have a corporate event and there's 80 people there or 50 people there, which would be a shock, then the front area will be open. But I assume there's going to be no children there. And if they are children there, they'll be children of someone who's coming for a corporate party. So
Okay.
It's not children usually between under, well, my niece does it at about 8, but usually there's 10 and over, and they might have a children's birthday party there, but they're usually at different times. I can't imagine if you came to Trumbull, you'd see we've never had like a children's party or adult party at the same time. There's a separate physical room for kids where there's if you looked at the plan, it was on the south wall. There's another smaller party room. If a kid had a party, we'd put them in there. They're not going to be sitting in the lobby or with their parents or whatever.
Okay. As
But
far as
I
the
definitely
liquor,
understand the concern. I don't want a drunk guy going over to a kid, and then that's
right.
will have to be addressed.
One other concern that I have, you're going to be purchasing the alcoholic beverages from a distributor. You're not just like not bringing them in, right?
Absolutely required by
Okay.
law, and we have a couple distributors who are working.
Right.
We know we haven't contacted any of them yet.
And when you serve a mixed drink, are you actually serving from a bottle, or is it going to be the pre-mixed cans?
I'll assume pre-mixed cans. We have no intention of like pouring and whatever. At this time, we have no.
Right.
If they have
Right.
a mixed drink, here's a wine cooler. Here's wine. We were thinking originally only beer and wine, but if they wanted a harder liquor, we'd have it in sealed bottles and like an airplane. We have no intention of being a bartender. We don't.
Yeah, our kitchen area is not established to have any glassware cleaning or any sort of cleaning of utensils. Everything that is going to be available to the patrons is going to be a disposable nature. So we're not looking at having loose glassware in the facility that needs to be cleaned or maintained.
Okay, and you're going to have food on the premise all the time as well.
Correct. Yes.
And not relying on a takeout service.
Correct.
delivery.
Although there is the opportunity for catering.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnny. Commissioner Botello. Unmute, please, Commissioner Botello. Unmute. There you go.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you. Mr. Cleveland, Mr. Greenspan, I just want to get a little clarification on a couple things. Reading through the report and figuring out what the business plan is here, I just want to just double check. You're saying that you run this operation with 2 employees that takes care of the whole facility, which means that that's the part of the greeting the people, getting ready for their event. That means taking care of the bar and keeping up the upkeep of the building, that 2 people actually can take care of the 6,000 square feet is what you're saying?
2 people can manage all 7 games. We are opening with 5. If there are special events, if there are special parties, we probably go to 3 or 4. We want to make sure we have enough people to safely accommodate everybody who's going to be there. But usually what happens is they walk into a room and they solve puzzles for an hour. There's a person who's watching, just like we're in a Zoom, but they're watching 4 different cameras in every single room, and they can watch the people and see if they're flubbing up and they need help and they need a hint. So they have microphones and speakers where they talk to the people in the rooms. So
Okay.
the actual game mastering is relatively easy. Once they're out, it's a 7 to 10 minute reset process to pick up all the stuff and close the locks and reset the game, so to speak.
Okay. And the
when
next
the person walks
question,
out of the room, they say, "Hey, congratulations." They take their picture. So there's usually a person at the reception, usually one person for every 2 to 3 games. So if there's a special event, we have 3 to 4. 2 would not be enough.
okay. My next question is that you're going to have 4 to 6 rooms going. Is it in the process of this extravaganza? You go from room to room, or you go in one room and then you stay there for the whole
I'm sorry.
event?
That's a good question. Every room has a different theme. We have Who Stole the Mona Lisa. We have pirates. We have there's 5 different theme rooms we're opening up, and there'll be Star Trek and I can't describe its code. But anyway, each room is a different experience. You basically walk into the room, they close the door behind you. In Connecticut, you can't lock them, so they have buttons to release everything. You walk in the room, and then pretty much you solve a puzzle, and a magnet might open, and then a wall will open up, and you'll go into the second segment, or you'll go into the third segment, and then a bookcase will slide open or something. So then after you're done, you just walk out, you solve it, they say, "Hey, congratulations," you click a code, it says you're a winner, and then you leave. So it's one room at a time. When it is a corporate event or a party, and they're renting out the whole place, a person may do more than one room, but it will be this room and then that room and then a different room.
Right.
I mean,
Okay.
I've seen someone do 2 rooms in a night. I've seen one person do 3 in my whole entire corporate experience. Most of the time I do one room, and what happens is the rooms are staggered. Everyone comes at 7 o'clock. They eat food, they socialize, they talk about everybody else at their office, and then usually a group goes in at about 7:30, 8 o'clock, and they do the first room. Everyone else gets and socializes, then 8:10, another person goes in. So by the time, if the first people are really smart, by 8:45 they're out. They come back and they might be socializing with other people who haven't gotten in yet or have finished their room. So it's usually booked like a 3-hour corporate event, and someone starts really early, they might do 2 rooms, but there's always that mingling in the party room.
Okay. My
That's
next
how it
question
works
is,
in Trumbull.
right. The next question is that I went down to the site today just so that I could get some sort of appreciation of the application and where we're working. And I noticed a couple things. Obviously there's the 4 containers that are in the back of the building. I presume that they're going to be going shortly, and you don't need that for storage for once you open up.
The containers are for the rooms.
Okay.
All the rooms, the props in the rooms are delivered to the containers, so we can keep the premises clean.
I pretty much assumed that. The next question is that I noticed that you have an open fence that goes to another parcel in the back that is a construction company that looks like it's part of looks like they're using that for an egress. So what is it? Okay.
Sorry. The construction company behind us, that's their fence. They're a landscaping company. They're behind us. That's their part. It's a totally separate parcel. I think you saw it on the
Yes.
the parcel map. That's not ours. Our lot line goes right about to that. I think right to the fence, or 6 inches before the fence. That's their fence. They're probably driving trucks in and out that's their business.
Well, I mean,
They have a right of way to drive down the road.
They do have a right of pass and repass through your property.
They can pass the corner of the property, and they can go down that road next to the property. That road is not ours.
But is that going to hinder you when you have your patrons there, that they're going to have access to this back lot?
No, I mean, so far we haven't had any trouble. They don't really ever cut through that lot. They're let's see, Brian, can you show the there it is. Thanks, Brian. They don't really cut back the lot. Their lot is do you have a better aerial view, Brian, or a map? They kind of
Not
come
anything
down.
really closer.
Now, do you have a map of the parcel behind it?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, unfortunately, like you're saying, it's cut off, but
They come back.
It would be the lower section.
20 feet behind it. Joanne or any of the planners have I don't have a map of the parcel behind it. Let me see if I can pull a parcel map. That's a very good question. Let me find out. Okay, there you go, Brian.
sorry, trying to find where we're at. There we go.
Yep, you're close. You got it.
Thank you. So yeah, these are our containers. Wow, I took that picture recently. But see, our lot kind of ends in the middle of the tree,
Right,
and their fence is. You see on the I don't know
right
what that
there.
is, the white
Exactly.
thing below the tree. That's
Exactly,
their fence.
right.
But their exit is, Brian, trace their exit, please. Their exit's there. So they pretty much drive right out on the road. They don't hit this new paved lot at all.
Okay, but they are legally able to pass and repass.
They go out the street to go and do their job, and then they come back in. Everything they have is
Okay.
behind this
Okay.
fence.
Yeah,
Right.
really the property that they're passing over is primarily the church's property.
Okay, all right, okay. Next,
We're
I want
gonna-
to talk, the next thing that I want to discuss with you is that I'm very excited about this application. It's exactly what we're looking for downtown. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page as to what's going to look like in the future, because I'm trying to figure out exactly what we're going to have at the end of the game here. So you're talking about, you could have a corporate event, and you could have 30 people in the lobby, you could have up to 90 people that are basically going to be in this building at the same time, plus the 2 people that work there. So, I mean, you got a total of 10 spaces. I'm sorry, 11 spaces plus 2 at the 10 at the church. You have a total of 21 spaces. So that if you have the full operation running, which you hope you do, I believe that you have a parking issue, and I just want to at least address it so that we can talk about it and make
Good
sure
idea.
that we're all cognizant about what's going on here and what the answer is. We want you to be there, but we have to make sure that you don't overwhelm the area with traffic or whatever, or become a problem to the neighbors there. So tell me what your thoughts are.
I totally agree.
You have a situation with the church next door that you can take more of their parking spaces? And next door to that is a state property. I don't think you can do anything with them, but maybe the church is your way out. And I
The
just
church has
want
a
to,
lot of space behind it, but usually, from my experience, is when people come, then 4 people usually don't meet there on their own. They're usually, it's a family or a party. They're coming in one car, so you're usually getting more than a car for every person coming. If it's a corporate event, anyone who's plans a corporate event, our parking is going to be this issue. They're not going to go and plan a corporate event in a place where none of their employees can go due to parking. I've reached out to the church several times. If any of you know the people at the church, I have no idea how to get in touch with them. I've tried half a dozen times to contact them and see if we can, if I give them advance notice. I don't care if I can borrow 30 of their space. Right now, we have no corporate events booked at all. I want them to be able to park.
all right, but you confirmed that you have 10 spaces from the church. Is that a confirmation or that's a wish?
I have it on the deed. It's
You have it on the
deeded.
deed. Okay, okay.
When we had the church, there's a sign. We gave an easement over a piece of property. They gave we gave them the sign. We let them park on sometimes if they wanted to. What was it? I think it was Sunday mornings. They could park on our spaces if we're not using them, and they in turn gave us the lit sign that's on the corner.
Right, right.
I also do want to just note that the use of escapology in the plans that we've been showing you, short of the actual sale of liquor at this location, has been approved.
I understand, but is this approval going to come with problems in the future? That's my question.
Yeah.
We don't want a situation where you become in there and becomes a nuisance, and before you know it, then somebody made a mistake, and all of a sudden we're overwhelmed, and it doesn't do much for the neighbors down there, and we get complaints coming in from them. That's my only concern, and I'm all for your application. Just we have to figure out making sure that you can accommodate what you feel is going to be your needs for running this business.
I don't think there's going to be any additional. I mean, I'm not taking people in from outdoors. We're not having big beer parties. And to Brian's point, there's going to be no additional traffic, no additional cars due to alcohol being served. The only thing I think it'd be less because people don't want to drink and drive. But there will not be any more traffic because of the alcohol component of this whole thing.
I understand.
The building already for the entertainment use for the zone. I guess we have 2 more spaces than we originally needed, based on the square footage of the building, based on the intended use of the building, based on 8 rooms that really are never going to be occupied at the same time. That qualified, and now we have an additional 10, in addition to the 2 more we needed, which is 8, and we have up to 21. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Could I
So-
just make the last question to Sharon to see if Sharon, Ms. Calitro, can I ask you the question that being that they've already got approval for their plan, being that was before this request for the liquor, does this come into consideration that maybe there might have been a mistake because they didn't represent the number of units, spaces they needed prior to getting an approval? Is there any question in that?
Well, the initial waiver from retail to the indoor amusement enterprise before the change to the cafe, and now obviously the cafe with the liquor permit, was based on an email from, let me just grab it. From their, I got it. The production manager, John Paul Laraco, indicating that there would be, at the height, I would say a maximum of 26 people. So that's how they backed into the parking requirements, how the staff, Ally and Jen, backed into the parking requirements. So like basically it's 2 rooms operating with maybe 1 room of 8 people in the lobby waiting to get in, not 5 rooms operating at the same time or an 80 event, you know.
So the approval that was
Corporate
given.
event.
Then, and also, Jen had indicated they couldn't confirm the parking easement. So, you know, that may well be in place. Staff could not confirm that at the time. But the 11 spaces was sufficient enough for the 3, if there were basically 3 rooms operating at the same time, and each room had 8 people in it, plus a couple of employees, yes, that would get you to the 11 spaces at 1 per 4. That's how we calc that out.
But now their anticipation is it's going to be double or triple that.
I
I
don't
I
have,
would be
I don't have
happy
an
if it
answer
were.
to that because I don't think that was
Robert,
discussed as a
I'll address
corporate
that. I would be ecstatic if it were, but that's not the way it is. I mean, usually it's in Trumbull. There might be 2 or 3 rooms that are staggered. Usually, they might be different rooms. They might do Mona on Monday, in the Mona ones, and then the guy leaves. They're only there for 1 hour. That's it. So there are different rooms that are because people already want to have a different experience. It's very, very, very rare that all the rooms will be occupied at the same time, because you wouldn't have enough. I would love to have all the rooms occupied at the same time, but it's very rare that happens.
But-
Escapology has a policy. Some escape rooms, if I just go and I say, hey, I want to do an escape room, they match me with other people who want to do an escape room, which causes the rooms to be much more dense. For an escape room point of view, it makes a lot of sense because they're getting 8 people in a room. They make a lot more money that way. Escapology, the franchisor, has a strict policy, as well as with all the franchisees. If you and I, Robert, come as a group, the 2 of us are going to tackle that escape room together. They won't mix us with other people. So it keeps it's a better experience for you and I, but it also keeps the room count much smaller. It's very, very rare that you have 8 people in whatever in 8 rooms. That would, I don't think, ever happen. But there might be 2, there might be 4, there might be 6. If any of you, by the way, have any questions about an escape room or how it runs, busiest nights are Friday, Saturday nights, I invite you all to come to Trumbull. So you can see how it works, see how it operates, and kind of understand the concept. There's not really a lot of escape rooms in Danbury. And if anyone has never seen one before, you wanted to see how it operates and how it runs, that's a completely finished facility.
Right.
So there are pictures online, Escapology Trumbull, and then you can see how it flows.
But in our position, we have to believe that you could go to your maximum capacity, and if that's over what you allotted for, then there could be issues. So that I would like to just
I agree.
for the commission to think about this and say, what can we do to help you out so that we can put it in writing that you're restricted to 2 rooms now, or possibly 3 rooms. And I want you to be able to do 6 rooms, but that's not what you have permission from so far. So we got to talk about what you can do to expand this so we can help you get to where you need to be. And it looks like the only real solution is to be able to work something out with that church, because there's plenty of parking back there. And so that's what I would anticipate. And I don't know, Sharon, your position, but what happens in the future if All right, they open up and they just open up with the permission that they have, and all of a sudden they're overstating their use. Then where are we as a city? And where are you as far as the planning director giving permission for one thing and something else coming out of it?
Again, I'm going to reiterate, the approval for the 26 plus 2 is 28 was based on information provided by the applicant at the time of the waiver. So they would be running 2 max groups playing games and 2 employees. Maybe an overlap with one additional group. So each group had 8 people. 8 times 3 is 24 plus 2 is 26.
Okay.
Then we did the 1 per 4 employees plus, 1 per 4 people for a space plus 2 employees, which would get you to, I think, 9, and they have 11. So they have a little bit extra, but I wouldn't say, enough
I
for
think
100
I'd like to-
people
can I-
to be in
can I
there.
ask a
You're going to
question?
have a parking. They'll have to go to the parking garage and walk. They'll have to go to a surface parking lot or park on the street where it's allowed and walk to the facility.
May I ask a question?
Commissioner Nazario.
Thank you. I apologize. I'm new to this. I'm a new commissioner, so if I'm not following proper protocol, please correct me. But I think in the context of the liquor permit, my question would be, would having the liquor permit bring in so much more traffic that the parking would be exhausted? That would be the first question. And on a larger scale, I'd like you to talk to me about how how serving liquor, in your opinion, does it enhance the escape room experience? Does it make the overall experience better for your customers? Speak to if you can speak to that a little bit, I'd be curious to know what your.
To answer the first part of the question, I do not anticipate at all bringing any more people to the escape room. I mean, bringing any more people to the venue who aren't doing the escape room. The bar and the liquor service is just for people who are actually having an escape room experience. I think it would. It hopefully gives a better experience for the customers. Hopefully makes their gathering a better one. It's like when you and a couple of friends go to the bar. I'm not a big drinker, but maybe serving alcohol at the bar might make it better. If you're going bowling, having a beer, we're looking at it that way. Or if someone goes to the movie theater, they have a beer. So that's kind of 5 guys go together and they want to get an escape room. They may order some beers. Yeah. And the biggest thing for us to get the license was if they're bringing their own and they're bringing a 6-pack, I have no control of what came in, what came out. I have no control over who's drinking it, who's getting served. If you go and pick 6 beers and you drink them all by yourself, if I'm serving them, I serve you one at a time. That's the law. But I serve you 1 drink. I can't serve you a whole stick.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
Absolutely.
I hope it'll be a better experience for the customers. If nobody drinks, all this work to rebuild the kitchen and do all this stuff will all be for naught.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me. It's a leisure activity. It's something people do after hours for fun and to bond with their coworkers. I think it's interesting that this is there's I guess some puzzles involved and there's some analytical and problem solving element to this, and I just think it's interesting and probably more fun to do it. If you I think some people will find it more fun after having a couple of drinks. So I think that's interesting. It's kind of strange to mix those 2 things up together. It can make things really interesting, but
it's a hard game.
Yeah.
When you're playing the game, you're with people maybe at work or maybe socially, but it's a whole different story. You see a whole different dynamic of the person who's taking control, the person who's ordering everyone around. I wouldn't say stressful, but it's a thinking thing. You're seeing people in a whole different light. You're trying to solve puzzles. People are talking loudly. They're writing down numbers. They're doing a whole bunch of different things. You really see the different qualities in people. Someone just sits there quietly and doesn't do anything. Other people are like, look, it's 4, 5, 6, 2. Write it down. I'm a loudmouth when it comes to those things. I'm usually wrong when I blurt out answers. Other people just sit quietly and work on locks and solve puzzles. It's one of the things that's neat when a company goes there and they have a couple of employees there now say, oh, this is how these people react. I've always suggested they've never taken it. People go there and do interviews there. Just bring a whole bunch of people and see how they react under more
All right.
stressful and problem-solving situations.
We got to move along.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. Commissioner
Mr.
Zara, you
Chair-
all set?
Can I
Uh,
just
yeah.
ask, Mr. Chairman, can I just answer
Yes.
Commissioner Zario's
And,
question? The
yeah.
fact that they're asking for a liquor permit has no bearing on the parking.
Thank you, Sharon.
Commissioner O'Neill.
I'm new also, but I just wanted to take a second to tell Brian that I thought his presentation was really well put together. It answered a lot of questions. I also went by the property to see what it was like. I also wanted to tell Commissioner Botello that his questions were all very pertinent. My biggest concern when I went there was the parking. I was surprised when I saw the plan. I looked at the plans, but I didn't look at them closely before I went. So afterwards, to know that there's 11 spots is good. And I just want to point out that while the parking is something that I think we should definitely be concerned about in general for anything that goes on anywhere in town, they do, if they do in their deed, which I think we could just hold the deed to see the 10 extra spots. I mean, that puts them right there up to 52 people if we're doubling their capacity from 26. So that's somewhat comforting, knowing that they're not having corporate parties all the time, every day. And I guess that's just my 2 cents I just wanted to throw in.
Thank you. Anything else, commission members? Any other commission members at this time? Any other commission members? Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Is there anyone?
We can recount or
I'm sorry?
commission members?
Are you
Council
done?
members.
Are you done presenting?
Oh, yes, we're done presenting.
Okay. You'll have a chance to rebut on any opposition. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this petition? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this petition? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this petition? Councilman Perkins.
Mr. Chairman, I think I missed my little window.
No,
I'm not
why were you
necessarily-
in favor or opposed?
I'm undecided. I typically speak on the favored side and just mention that I am not necessarily speaking for it. I just want to be on the record.
Go on. Yep, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're under the opposition, but clarify your position. I'm not going back. Go ahead.
That's okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, commissioners, Dwayne Perkins, 22 Main Street, and Happy New Year, everybody. Most of my questions have been answered. I was just wondering, the Best Buddies LLC, I hadn't heard that name around town before, and I kind of wanted to know whether they have done business in front of the city before. I mean, it looks like this, they are landlords, but I just hadn't heard that name before. So I just want to know, had they been in front of the city before?
I will ask for identity of parties before we close this out, okay?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also want to know, and I think I know the answer to this. I don't believe that this particular establishment would qualify for the facade program. I think that may be only extended to restaurants, but I'd like to know the answer to that as well. At the beginning of the presentation, the Director of Planning mentioned that the food are ready to consume foods. Are patrons allowed to bring their own products, or do they need to just select from what's available through the proprietor? That's another one of my questions.
Okay.
One has been answered already, because I was just wondering slack time of those corporate rooms, but the petitioner said that they do have the ability to rent those out and host corporate events. So that's good as well. I think I heard Mr. Greenspan say that there were no, or he may not have been aware that there are a significant amount of residential apartments in the area. You know, you got directly across the street, the old Main Street or the old News Times building, back around the corner, Crosby Street, around the other side, Kennedy Flats, just rough numbers. That's over 700 people in that, 2-block or so area. I was looking at the floor plan, and I don't want to go too deep in it, but one concern that we did have earlier with another application was the way that the doors swing. I noticed that game room number 3, game room number 5, and the party room all had doors that swung in. They didn't swing out like the majority of the rest of the rooms. Maybe that can be addressed for concerns of safety. I too am concerned about the parking, but hopefully we can further vet that and figure out how we can get some additional parking spaces. But that's all I have for the commission, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Sure, thank you. Councilman Perkins, it looks like, and I'll let them address that. We'll get the identity of parties and the facade issue and the food issue. I think the doors, the last petition we heard, we wanted the doors on the exterior onto the street to open out, which these do. I think the party rooms plus the back emergency doors do as well. The party rooms, I think those doors are opening that way because once they accomplish a mission, it appears as though they enter into another portion of the game going into that with that door swing that way and then the other one. But they can address that on their rebuttal. Ms. Calitro, do you know anything about the facade on this far up the street?
Yes, in the DRZ. The facade grant is eligible for properties in the DRZ, which this is.
This is in the DRZ,
Yes.
Councilman Perkins.
Yes. And I would also say in terms of the councilman's question on the cafe, it doesn't preclude people from bringing in their own food. They just have to have food and beverage for retail sale for consumption and ready to consume. So they have to have food on the site. Doesn't mean they, the policy is that you can't bring your own. You just have to have it there. You don't have to have a full kitchen or serve hot meals, but you have to have food available there under the definition of a cafe.
And they showed us that they are.
They have included in their presentation and their materials what they will have on the site. In addition to being able to order a pizza from someplace, it's fine, but they have to be able to have something on site. They just can't order from menus and have absolutely no food. That would not qualify as a cafe. And then certainly not with the sale of alcoholic beverage.
Thank you. Commission members, any questions of Councilman Perkins at this time? Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to this petition? Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to this petition? Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to this petition? I will call now Mr. Cleveland and Mr. Greenspan. Do they have anything that they want to answer any questions of Councilman Perkins specifically, best buddies, and anything that they want to rebut?
Okay.
Where is Mr. Cleveland? Here he is. Okay.
Yeah, just to talk to the door swing question specifically. Whenever there is an occupant load, relative to the building code specifically, whenever there's an occupant load of greater than 50 people within a room or space, that is what requires us to swing the door in the direction of egress. In other words, to the outside. So we certainly have lower than the 50 occupants in the majority, if not all, of the spaces within the building itself. So we are able to swing them into the room if we wanted to, but as you can see from the game rooms, the exits out onto the corridor do swing out. And then to the chairman's point, yes, the interior rooms will have doors that swing according to whatever puzzle it is that they are completing and the need of the game within that room itself. But again, those rooms will never exceed 50 occupants, and therefore they are able to swing to the interior of those rooms. And as was also pointed out, all of the exit doors at the exterior of the property do swing to the outside.
Thank you for that. Best Buddies LLC,
Best-
do you have, Mr.
Best
Greenspan?
Buddies. Best Buddies was started by my brother and his daughter because they were best buddies back a long time ago before she went to college and became a teenager. So Best Buddies. And I don't want to pat on my niece, but that's where Best Buddies started.
That's
Best
good enough.
Buddies bought his office building where he's at now at 9 Trefoil Drive in Trumbull. To address Mr. Patello's question, I believe where Best Buddies has been doing business in Trumbull for a long time. It's a subsidiary of SCS Direct, which is my brother's company, which does direct internet sales, and he's the owner of the franchise Escapology. So this is another branch location. Best Buddies is I believe wholly owned subsidiary of his, but he might have a small non-voting portion to my freshman and college level niece. I'm not sure. But
Thank you.
Best Buddies is the entity that buys the property. So Best Buddies owns it. Best Buddies will lease to Escapology CT LLC, which is an LLC registered in Connecticut as Howard Greenspan is the managing partner of. He's the only one. He's the manager of that place.
Thank you. Did you guys, did you want to sum up? You ready to rebut, sum up, or we're pretty much done here? It didn't seem like there was many questions that are unanswered here.
No, I think from my point of view, I think we're okay.
Thank you. Commission members, one last time, if any questions of Mr. Cleveland or Mr. Greenspan, commission members. Commission members. It looks like Commissioner Bennett, unmute. Looks like you got something to say there. Nope, unmute.
Got it.
There you go. Go ahead.
All right. I have to go back to the parking issue because if you had a lease for the parking of the church, I would feel a lot better than just leaning on the church to give you spaces as needed. So, I mean, you could, I'm a businessman. You could fall into some big problems if you have people driving around looking for a space. And I crushed the numbers a couple of times. And can you do it? Yeah, you can, but it's not going to be comfortable to pull in that parking lot unless you had something signed. Suppose they sell the church, what happens?
Bruce, can I answer this? The parking and license agreement easement is a deed restriction located on 2136, page 474 through 480. It's an easement that was made. It's a parking license and easement agreement dated on the 4th day of July of 2011. Hold on. Actually, you know what? Why don't I just do this?
Do we have a copy of that anywhere?
It's in the Registry of Deeds in Danbury, but I'll share my screen with you right now if you want to see it.
And we can certainly submit that as part of any condition of approval.
Yeah.
This is a
That's
parking license
that'd be okay with me.
Can you guys see?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to make it as big as possible. I know documents are hard to read. So the book, if you look at the Registry of Deeds, book 2136, page 474, this is where this document's recorded. It's a deed restriction. So on the 4th day of July 2011, this is when we bought the building. The church is the owner of the certain property. The parking area of 348 Main Street is located approximately in the northern portion of the property. We pay them $1. We grant them the church to come and park in our place if they need it. It's 7 a.m., but they have a whole bunch of space except for Friday. And the church here does by grant 348 Main Street, successors and assigns and transferees an easement and right-of-way together with full and free right of access for 348 Main. Its tenants, invitees, visitors for up to 10 spaces within the parking area of the church's property. Now, it says from 8:30 to 6 every day.
All right.
Which is usually the time they'd have, I guess we had an event, it would probably be relatively early. I've been trying to get in touch with them to allow it to happen at night. There's no one ever there at night. I don't think it would be a problem. But that's what the agreement says for the church.
All right.
Go ahead.
You have something to hang your head on that you do have a some type of agreement, and you also include snow plowing, which is good.
Oh, wait,
So-
oh, you got that.
That would be my only concern. Otherwise, I like the idea. I like the concept. I think we could use it in Danbury. And so I'm in, but that would be my only concern.
We're usually there every day. If anyone wants to stop by and see inside and take a walk around, you're more than welcome to come in anytime.
Try to get a couple extra hours from the church. Tell them you'll triple your rent. Give them $3.
I would love. Yeah, guys, you $3
Anyway, anything else, Commission members?
This agreement is a I didn't know they were supposed to pay for our parking spaces. We already paid about $15,000 for the parking spaces. Well, anyway,
review it on your own
they
time.
have,
You gotta go.
yeah. So, if anyone wants to look at the agreement, it's book 2136, page 474. I don't need to go through everything to 480. That's where it's located at the Registry of Deeds. If you want me to give
Mr.
a copy
Cleveland,
of this, I can.
Mr. Cleveland, Mr.
Submit
Greenspan,
it with the plans.
please send it into the department, please. They'll get us copies.
Please
Anything
send
else,
it to me.
Commissioner Bennett?
I'll put it in the file.
Commissioner Bennett, you all set?
Yes, I am.
Anything else, commission members? Any other commission members? Any other commission members? Ms. Cleacho, do you want to sum this up? No?
I'm good. I don't have any other question. I mean, I have no other staff has no other comments.
Okay. Well, listen, we can close the public hearing, or we can close the public hearing waiting for the document, but it doesn't make any difference because it's a document, it's a public record. We're going to receive that document on that deed. So if any commission member wants to close this public hearing without any specific reason, just closing it outright, a motion would be in order for that. Is there a motion to close this public hearing? Hold on, Ms. Calitro?
I would just ask Attorney Cleveland to please supply Joanne with a copy of your presentation so we can put it in the file that you shared tonight on the screen.
Yes, I'll send a PDF copy of it to her.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Anything else? No? Who's making a motion to close? Commissioner James makes a motion to close the public hearing. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner O'Neill. Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Not hearing or seeing any opposition. This public hearing is closed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. No cut. Have a great day. If you need do you need my contact information, or that's not necessary?
We have it at the office. If any commission members want to go, they will get in touch with you on an individual basis. If we want to go as a commission, we'll have to post it or advertise it. But we're good to go. We got all your information.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Have a
Thank
great
you,
day. I
Mr.
apologize, my
Greenspan.
brother-
By the way, Mr. Greenspan, Mr. Cleveland, the next meeting is January 23rd, 2024.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Moving on. We do not have any continuation of any public hearings. We do not have any old business for discussion or possible action. We do not have any new business. We do not have any correspondence. Nothing under for reference only. Are there any other matters? Any other matters? Any other matters? This is for any commission members can discuss anything that's not on the agenda. Any questions or staff, anything, any other matters? Unless anybody is comfortable with this and wants to make a motion to move this to old business for discussion, possible action, this is going to be carried over to January 23rd, 2024. Any other matters? Commissioner Botello, you're on mute. Unmute. Commissioner Botello.
I would like to make a motion to move it to old business so it could be under consideration for tonight.
Commission members, there's a motion made by Commissioner Botello to move the petition of Escapology and Best Buddies to 348 Main Street for a special permit for cafe liquor license CCBD zone to number 1 under old business for discussion of possible action. Is there a second? Commission members, is there a second? Commissioner Nejam, is that your hand? Unmute, please.
I second it.
Is a second by motion made by Commissioner Botello, second by Commissioner Nejam. Any discussion? Any discussion? Commissioner Jowdy?
Don't we have a couple of things that we're waiting for?
The only thing we had was what was shown tonight. We just wanted copy in our file of the presentation. which was made. He's going to send a PDF and also the copy of the deed, which we saw. They're going to send it over for our records as well. I
Okay.
don't think we're waiting for anything else. And we close the public hearing without anything pending. Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Motion's made to move this under old business for discussion, possible action with a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those
Aye.
opposed? Not seeing or hearing any opposition. Number one, under old business for discussion of possible action is a petition of Escapology, tenant, Best Buddies LLC, property owner, 348 Main Street, H13296, for a special permit for cafe liquor in the CCBD zone. Commission members, you heard the public hearing. It was open on January 9th, 2024, and it was closed on January 9th, 2024. Anybody looking to make a motion for discussion purposes?
I'd like to make a motion, but can we make a motion with some contingencies as far as what we could put it in for?
Well,
And
we
talk
can't-
about that part of it?
No, we can't contract zone. You could make a petition, you could make a motion to approve this petition with reasons, and then see if you get a second, and then we can discuss it after that. It may or may not go to a vote after that. But if you want to make a motion, you'll have to make.
I want to make a motion with one contingency about the situation about the parking, that we need to be able to orchestrate something that if in the future they need to expand, that it's going to be on the responsibility of the applicant, that they take care of it, don't become a nuisance to the neighbors, but work a situation that they can accommodate their business needs for the future. Is there a way we can craft that?
No.
Mr.
We
Can I
can
speak up,
we can
Teddy?
do that.
Teddy, can I speak up?
Commissioner Nejam?
Yeah, Mrs. Calicro already discussed with us that what they're asking for is simply the liquor license. The parking situation is definitely a concern, but that's not what we're here for. We're here for just the liquor side of what they're asking for. So I think that is water over the bridge already. And I feel comfortable, frankly. And I think we should go forward, vote on it, and get this thing going.
So if somebody wants to make a motion with reasons to why it should be approved, the floor is open. For example, somebody can make a motion to approve it because they feel as though it wouldn't be detrimental to the health, safety, and welfare of the community. That would be one example. Commissioner Jowdy?
I'll make a motion to approve this application. It's not detrimental to any school, church, convent, or any other facility in the local area. And waiting for a second on that. Thank you.
And I'll give a second on that.
Motion made by Commissioner Jowdy with reasons and a second by Commissioner Nejam. Commission members, now we're open for discussion. Anybody want to discuss it? Discuss the motion to approve. Any discussion? Commission members, any discussion?
I'd like to chime in.
Commissioner Nazario?
I think the idea of solving puzzles after having a couple of drinks sounds super interesting, but more importantly, if you're going to be in our community, I think for me, it's important that we set you up to succeed and have the most effective business model possible. And I think if serving some alcoholic beverages is going to enhance the experience of your patrons and give you a chance to succeed, then I'm in favor of it. And I also agree that the parking situation, although it is a concern, it's not the primary focus of the reason why we're here. That's been decided. So I think on the side of the liquor application, I'm in favor of it for that reason.
Thank you. Commission members, any other comments? Any other comments? Commissioner O'Neill?
I agree with Commissioner Nazario.
Thank you. Anything else, commission members? I know that when I go to anywhere, any type of a retail outlet or any type of a store or any type of place for entertainment. If I'm not comfortable parking or I can't find a parking spot, I just don't go. So if this becomes a place where it's overcrowded and there's no parking, it won't be overcrowded because nobody will go. And then I think the landlord or the owner will find a backup plan to try and find parking spaces, and then it'll work itself out. So although this is not really a concern of ours at this point in time about parking, and it's liquor, I'm always concerned about liquor going into facilities, but what I heard this evening, I don't think I'm overly concerned about. I think that they're going to control it. I think the presentations were done very well, and I'm leaning toward voting yes with this motion. Any other discussion, commission members? Any other discussion? So we're going to put this to a vote. Everybody, please unmute, turn your mics on. We're going to do a roll call vote. So a yes is yes, and a no is no. Commissioner Jowdy,
Yes.
Commissioner Nejam,
Yes.
Commissioner Bennett. Commissioner Bennett, unmute. We didn't hear you. Commissioner Bennett. Yes. Commissioner Botello.
Yes.
Commissioner Cabrera.
Yes.
Commissioner James.
Yes.
Commissioner Nazario.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Neill.
Yes.
And I will make it unanimous. 9-0, all regular members. And to Mr. Cleveland and Mr. Greenspan, good luck to you.
Well, thank you very much. So
everybody.
we won't need to see you on the 23rd anymore, correct?
That is correct. That's correct. Thank you.
Have a safe
I
drive
will
home
make-
in all this weather.
Yes, you too.
Oh, yes. Fortunately, we're all home.
When are you planning a grand opening?
Oh, geez. I was hoping February, March.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So we're probably going to have a soft opening first. I'll send a message to the commissioners that it was basically family, friends, everyone can kind of come so we can work out all the bugs,
Yeah,
make sure all the games are
absolutely.
actually working, and then we open to the grand public. So hopefully March.
Sounds good. Good luck to you.
Fingers crossed. Hey, thank you very much.
You're
Yes.
welcome.
Have a great
Good-
day.
Thank you.
Good
Commissioner
luck and
members,
be successful because we want you down there.
I'm hoping. I expect to see all your faces there, like just to come on in. I mean, it's going to be a really great place, and I can't wait to open it up. I'm really excited. It's been we've been working through it long enough. I just want to finish it.
Commissioner
It
members,
sounds like it could possibly be a destination, so we're anxious for you to open.
That's what I'm hoping. That's the intention. Escapology during the pandemic, the Escapology Connecticut hired a bunch of Broadway set designers who are all out of work. So it kind of brought the level of Escapology from here way up to here because you'd ask them to build a brick wall and they'd say, from what time period? From what what king did you want to live in that place? And what geography? They would go, I have no idea, but they used to go in and build those rooms by hand to make every single piece as realistic as possible. So
I do have a question for you. Is there any other genres that follow you wherever you go that they might be coming to Danbury as well?
I hope so. So far we haven't have no website. No one really who's in Trumbull knows we're in Danbury. Who's not part of the?
No, I mean,
circle.
like in other locations you've gone to, because you're there, have you attracted other type venues that are somewhat like yours or whatever that are interesting? We want Danbury to be vibrant. If you can bring in other people, we're all for it.
Well, I'll keep my eyes and ears open. I actually visited those two weird rooms with Extreme, the trampoline park, and the place next door. There's two in the place with the bumper cars the other day in Danbury.
Right.
Both phenomenal places. Lisa ran a great. I brought my daughter there. During school vacation. But those are two really vibrant places in Danbury. We'd love to any cross promotion that of places that do some sort of entertainment, or we're hoping to do a lot with Midas. You drop your car off there for an hour. You have nothing to do. Why not come over and play around in a room for a while?
But we would love more of you downtown Danbury. That's what we're looking for. Make it exciting. We want it to be a destination.
Good. I'm a commercial real estate broker by trade, so I'll keep my eyes and ears open for anybody who wants to move in. I love Danbury as a city.
Well,
It's
great.
really a great city.
Right.
I never lived really spent a lot of time in Danbury until recently, and I really just love it.
Good. We're glad to have you. Anything
Well,
else?
thank you very much.
Commissioner members, any other matters? Any other
Nope.
matters? Any other matters? Who wants to make the motion to adjourn at?
I'll make a motion to call it a night.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Commissioner Botello to adjourn, second by Commissioner Bennett. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Those opposed, let the record show.
Good night, guys.
9:18 PM.